I was 18, sitting on a video call with a real estate agent in America. He had no reason to trust me. I was a Polish kid he'd never heard of, asking him to pay me $12,000. And he said yes, because I had 3 questions an FBI hostage negotiator taught me to ask. His name is Chris Voss. He spent 24 years negotiating with terrorists, kidnappers, bank robbers, situations where saying the wrong sentence meant someone died. Then he left the FBI and wrote a book. And almost everyone in business has heard of it, but nobody actually uses what's in it. And I'm going to show you 3 specific questions I memorized from that book, and the exact moment one of them turned a no into a yes on a call that paid for my first year as an operator. Because most people don't lose deals because they have a bad offer. They lose deals because they make statements when they should be asking questions. They push instead of pull. They argue instead of listen. And every sales coach on YouTube will tell you to overcome objections. And that's the wrong frame. You don't overcome objections. You ask the right question and the person on the other side hands you the solution. That's what Voss figured out in hostage negotiations and what every elite operator uses in business. Voss calls them calibrated questions. They start with what or how, never why, never yes or no, because they are designed to make the other person solve your problem for you while giving them the illusion that they are in the control of the situations. I use 3 questions on every single sales call, and I'm going to show you what they are and also how you can use each one of them. 3 questions, 1 per column. Watch. 1, 2, 3. Question 1. What's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? What's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? What's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? You ask this early in any high-stakes conversation. Sales call, partnership pitch, job interview. The other person will give you the surface answer, and that's not what you are looking for. You are listening for the gap between what they say and what they actually mean. Because the surface answer is not usually the right answer. The real estate agent I closed told me his biggest challenge was lead quality, but that's the surface answer. His real challenge was that he was 47, had 3 kids, and he's seen 22-year-olds make more money than him because they understood online marketing. That's the gap, and that's where you close. Question 2. How am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to do that? And this is probably the most important question Voss teaches because, and like, by the way, no one in sales almost use this because it sounds weak, but it's the opposite of weak. You ask this question the moment someone pushes back on the price or says it's too expensive or asks for a discount, because most salespeople immediately drop their price or start justifying, and that's how you lose. Instead, you just say, how am I supposed to do that? And you stop talking. And then what happens, and it works almost every single time, is that the other person starts solving your problem for you. They volunteer information. They explain why their objection isn't actually that strong. They reverse their own pressure because this question forces them to take the responsibility for the impossibility of their own ask. Question 3. What about this isn't working for you. What about this isn't working for you? You ask this one near the end of the conversation when you can sense that the prospect is hesitating but won't tell you exactly why. Because most of the deals are lost not because of the stated objections, but because of the unstated ones. So like when someone tells you, I need to think about it, that's never the real reason. There is something specific sitting with them that isn't right for them. And if you don't surface it before they hang up on a call, you will lose the deal forever. And this question works because it gives them the permission to say the hard thing. It signals you can handle the truth. And 9 times out of 10, they will tell you exactly what's blocking them. And most of the time, it's something you can address in 30 seconds, but only if you ask. And 3 questions, that's it. What's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? How am I supposed to do that? What about this isn't working for you? Memorize them tonight, use one of them in the conversation tomorrow. 3 questions an FBI hostage negotiator developed by talking people out of killing each other. They work because they bypass the part of the brain that gets defensive when someone is selling them something. And the deeper truth, the one that Voss spent 24 years figuring out, is that people don't make decisions based on the logic. They make decisions based on whether they feel understood. And these questions, they don't just gather information, but they make the other person feel like they are the only person in the room who gets to talk. And humans give a lot for exchange for that. But now also let me show you exactly how I used these questions on the first call that paid for my year as the operator. So I hopped on a call, like I was 18, no track record, nothing. The agent, let's call him Mike. He was 47, had 3 daughters, and he was an real estate agent for the last 15 years. And he had no logical reason to trust a teenager and give him $12,000. But early in the conversation, I asked him, what's the biggest challenge you are facing right now? And like then he said, okay, like the biggest challenge is lead quality. And then like I paused for a second and like thought, okay, lead quality. So then just ask him a follow-up question. What does it actually cost you when those leads don't convert? And then he paused and like then he actually opened, like he told me the real thing, that his oldest daughter is going to college like in the next 2 years and he's not able if he's going to pay for this. And that's the real problem. Not lead quality, but the fear of failing his family. And that's like also when I knew that I'll be able to close him. And not because I'm about to manipulate him into something, but because I found the real reason and the biggest challenge he's actually facing right now. So it's not a lead quality, it was the fear of failing his family. So what I needed to give him is not more leads, but the system that gives him certainty. And essentially I just built the rest of the conversation about this. And then like near the end of the call, he tried to push back on the price. Like he asked me whether we can do it for 9K instead of 12. So I just said, how am I supposed to do that? And then boom, 3 seconds of silence. Like then he said, yeah, like you are right. Send me the contract over. So most of people watching this video will agree that these questions sound smart, but then they will hop on the next call and they will use the exact same statements they've used on the last one. They will lose the deal, they will blame the prospect, and they will hop on the next call and do the exact same thing. So the difference between operators who close deals and the one who doesn't isn't talent. It is whether you can shut up long enough to ask the right question and then let the silence do the work. 3 questions from a man who used them to keep people alive. Now you have them too. Use them on your next call.